I'm here in this oak forest looking for some spring ephemerals. This is a really nice slope. If you can see a body of water there, that's the Grand River. So I guess this would technically be the Grand River Valley, but this is a closed oak forest canopy. Historically used to be oak barrens, and something, at least in Michigan, that is extremely common in these sort of oak forests that used to be oak barrens that had an open canopy, is that now there aren't any adult trees here, but we have these beech saplings. Let me show them. This American beech tree sapling, and another, we have a little seedling right here. These trees are native, but not usually to this oak forest type. And the reason why they're growing here now, and the reason why there aren't any adult ones, is because this used to be fire regulated ecosystem with an open canopy, an understory that would get fires through it every few years. And due to fire suppression in the past 100 years, these forests, these oak barrens, oak openings have almost disappeared. And now we have these mature oak forests that have closed canopies. Because of that, the beeches are starting to come up, sugar maples. And once those get established, once these saplings reach maturity and reach the canopy, there will probably be much less or no oak saplings making it to the canopy as well, and the entire forest type will change, and is changing right now. It's really unfortunate, but for the pieces of land that are having prescribed burns and they are preserving that ecosystem, that is an extremely great thing to see, but that's not being done here, unfortunately. But let's see if we can find any early spring ephemerals, though. It's March 30th right now, but winter has been lingering very heavily this year. So, not sure what I'll see, but sure there's something growing right now. There has to be. So these aren't really growing right now, but these are remnants of some ghost pipes from last year. These are Monotropa uniflora in the blueberry family Ericaceae, and they're completely parasitic on the mycorrhizal fungi. And when they come up, it's only the flower that comes up, and they're usually pure white, but sometimes they can have like a red tint to them. And their fruit, the remnant of the fruit here is this this capsule, and they have tons and tons of dust-like seeds that blow off, and wherever they land, they if the fungi community is healthy enough, then they will sprout anew. So seeing those is a good sign that the mycorrhizal community is high quality in a forest. Got the hepaticas going off. They're cool. They're in the buttercup family, Ranunculaceae, and these leaves actually stay evergreen throughout the entire winter. And I'm sure if I saw them during the actual dead of winter, they'd be a lot more purple, have a lot more of the compounds they flush into their leaves to stop from freezing. But these are about to start sending up flowers very soon, and they're stunners. So it's cool to see them here. Here's another evergreen plant. It's related to the ghost pipes that I showed you earlier. This is chimaphila umbellata, and it's also in the blueberry family. In the same genus as one of my favorite plants, the striped wintergreen, chimaphila maculata. And these are not related to mint, but they will give you a little bit of that wintergreen, sort of minty, or what people associate as minty taste to them. And these also have associations with mycorrhizal fungi. So to see them here means that, again, the fungal ecosystem is also pretty healthy. And I really don't think I've seen these in the forest before, so they might just be limited to that one spot. But plants in that genus tend to really do that. Like one seed will land somewhere, it'll start spreading by rhizomes. You'll have a little clump in an unexpected area. And that species is very cool because it's actually very widely distributed. You can actually get this way out west in California and stuff. It's pretty uncommon that you can find a native species that will grow on the East Coast and on the West Coast, or I guess it's the Midwest here, but that is one of them. So, always cool to see it. Like I said, the skunk cabbages love any sort of wet area like this. And they're just covering the entire space. I can see them all the way back. And I just love how every time I see them, they're always somewhat evenly spaced. Like there might be two clumped together, but the ones that are separate, it's like they have some sort of adaptation to not living too close to the other, to not encroach, and they form these patterns of where each plant is growing. Definitely one of the most interesting commoner plants that grows around here. Always cool to see. This right here is a really, really good example of the thermogenic nature of the skunk cabbage plants. There's one growing right in the snowdrift because we had snowfall yesterday, and you can see it melted a hole in the surrounding snow so that all the little insects that are out this early in spring can come pollinate this flower. And we got a pretty monstrous one right here. This one's either just really big or just sticking out of the ground more. Oh, sorry, there it is. Love these plants. And this is the sort of setting that they're growing in. Just this little wetland, I wouldn't call it a pond, but yeah, just wet area so they can have their wet roots. Got more of these. I can show some more details as well. Let's see. Margins of these leaves have these tiny teeth on them, And the species name umbellata comes from the fact that the leaves come out kind of like an umbel here, and they spread by rhizomes. So not sure if these right here are connected, but they definitely could be. And since it's spring, we got a little flower bud and some new growth. And some other names for these plants are Hypsisiwa, which comes from a Native American word, because they used to use it to treat, I think, gallstones. So that name means like breaking into smaller pieces. And another common name is Prince's pine, which is kind of weird because it's not a pine, not even closely related. Doesn't really look that much like a pine either, so I don't know who came up with that name, but I just call it a like wintergreen chimaphila. And this section of oak forest here is generally a lot healthier than the rest of this park, but you can see any of these trees that are coming up, like this one with these white dead leaves or orangish dead leaves, these are all beech saplings, and eventually these are going to crowd out all of the oaks and stop them from being able to reproduce here. And this oak forest is going to transition into more of a beech maple forest, which, you know, leads to a loss of the species that tend to call oak barrens oak forest home, but offers an opportunity for species that like to associate more with beech trees. So whatever you want to make of it, at least they're not bulldozing it and putting a tacky housing development for the rich people that live around here. So that's at least a start. And we got more. Oh, these look pretty healthy. This one is huge. It has like 4 different little whorls of leaves. Got some young ones too. Pretty cool. Now we're in a little bit different of a habitat, and I didn't want to just show you guys evergreen plants today, because we do have some spring beauty claytonia virginica sprouting here. These are actually perennials. They're not, I mean, some of them are probably seedlings, but they come up from a corm every spring. And you can see here, oh, we already have flower buds. And these are usually incredibly common, probably one of the most common plants in our forest. And they are extremely hardy, so they're already coming up this early in spring. In a week or two, they're going to be blooming. And once these trees leaf out and start shading the understory, they'll retreat back to their roots, their corm, and come back next spring. And since this ravine, this alluvial area, has a little bit more, or has like a story of sugar maples, that's why we can see those spring beauties, because they grow in most wooded environments here, but they usually only grow, or they usually don't grow in pure oak forests like that. But down here, we got maples, we got, I don't know, like spice bush or whatever, and they're growing down here. And this ravine is just beautiful, very picturesque.